Tell me about Caroline Strecker. What led you to run for Legislative District 30 representative?
Yes, well, thank you for having me, Paul. Of course, shout out to two of my employers that you just mentioned, so Warmsea and then Mohave College. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Tell me how that works. And you work for both of them?
I worked for Warmsea. I still work at Mohave College. And then I just also wanted to thank you because you're probably one of the first and very few people who actually said my first and last name correctly. So appreciate that.
What, Sweet Caroline? That's how I know it.
Yes. But you'd be really surprised. I get a lot of Carolines. I get a lot of Striker, even Strecker just to make it laughable.
Well, you should hear how Lavoie gets butchered,
Lavoie? Okay.
Lavoie, the OIE and all that. So how did you come to the decision to run?
Yeah, so I first got introduced to politics. There was way back when the GOP was looking for somebody to be like a photographer. And luckily, Jeannie, she was the GOP chairwoman at the time. And I just volunteered and I started going to the picnics and then got involved with Arizona Young Republicans. And then eventually I was approached by Supervisor Gould, who asked me if I wanted to be appointed to the Public Lands and Recreation Committee. And going from there, I then moved, which I'm still now a part of, but I'm on the Mohave County Board of Health. Oh. And water. Water was a big issue. And so then I started bugging Representative Gillette and Congressman Gosar, and they're just very, very helpful. But eventually I bugged Gillette to the point where I got down to the house and I was in his office and having a conversation with him. And he just said, I think that you should run for the seat. And I said, no.
Interesting.
Yeah, I said, no, thank you, but no, thank you. And then actually he contacted my pastor, Pastor Roy. And then I started getting phone calls from Representative Gillette and Pastor Roy. And they both were just saying, yes, you need to do it. I said, no, I don't want to. And I sat on it, prayed about it, thought about it. And then after about 3 months, I said, you know what? I think there's a lot of changes that need to be done. Mm-hmm. And I said, I'll do it. I think that I'm up for the challenge, and I do want to make a difference, especially for LD30.
How would you prioritize state spending if you were in the legislature? For example, with regard to education, law enforcement, infrastructure, the State Lake Improvement Fund, those sorts of things. How would you prioritize spending?
Number one is safety. So our law enforcement, they come number one. We need to make sure that DPS and our law enforcement has the appropriate funding. Our infrastructure is probably about 20 years behind the ball. So that would be my secondary priority. And then, of course, me being not only a mom, but a teacher as well, then I would say education. We know, and then I'm just going to add one, it's not that it's number 4, but of course all the fraud that's happening within the Arizona Medicaid, me being credentialed as a provider with Medicaid, we definitely need to find out where the fraud is.
So you're very familiar with access?
Yes.
Okay. What about the state's, what am I thinking of, the foster care program?
Yep. So
is there problems there too?
I'm sure. We essentially need to doge every department. I'm not for just for putting it out there so that everybody is aware, but I'm not for increasing the Arizona general budget. I feel as though the public has good reason to have mistrust in the government, and if anything, we need to find out and lower our spending until the government can regain the public trust and make sure that appropriate tax dollars are being spent fairly and justly.
How do you feel about zero-based budgeting?
I know that for Mohave County specifically, that they have tried to implement the idea of zero-based budgeting, and I think that would be a good start. But for now, I wouldn't say that, yes, we need to go all in for zero-based budgeting. So
where do you feel Mohave County is lacking where the state can help fill that gap? A lot of Republicans don't see government as coming in and, saving the day, but there are certain cases. How would you as a freshman lawmaker address that issue, whatever issue you think that is, that where the state can help?
Well, so like going back to infrastructure, we need to make sure ADOT, I travel a lot between, let's talk about the roads.
Yes.
I-40 and that road between Kingman all the way down to Wickenburg, yep. It's atrocious. And so being, as you said, a freshman lawmaker, but establishing the relationships with ADOT and then with our roads as well, and making sure that we focus on I-40 and the roads surrounding LD30 as well. There's too many potholes. I know my vehicles have suffered almost near tire explosions because of how bad they are.
Wow. How are you at working as a team? A lot of people call the LD30, the senator and the 2 reps, a legislative team. No matter what background they've come from. We've had I've seen where one was kind of a cast off, and everybody knows what I'm talking about, whereas we had another team that was just phenomenal, right? How do you work as a team? How do you work with those people that may not agree with you during the campaign?
Putting my campaign beliefs aside, I work as a team. I'm a provider, so working in the emergency department, I work with teammates, and regardless of whether we get along personally, you still have to have a professional and civil dynamic. And I actually think for the most part, all the candidates for LD30, we all want what's best for our district. So I really don't see how we would, be able to not overcome those, whatever it may be. So I think that overall we have to work as a team, and I work as a team all the time. That's my essential role. I have typically a lead role in running whatever it may be in the emergency department, and I have full faith that that would transfer over to being a legislator.
I got you. No offense to the current trio, but I feel that Regina, Sonny, and Leo were just, that was, the tripod right there.
Yeah. So. No, absolutely. And I would definitely want to model after that type of dynamic. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very possible. We're all, professional and good, hardworking people, and I think it's definitely achievable.
Let's talk about water,
yes.
Especially Colorado River water and the renegotiation of the Colorado River Compact. That may be the biggest issue that impacts Arizona for the next 100 years.
Absolutely.
The current one was negotiated in
100 years
1932?
Ago? Yeah.
I think Harry Reid was in on that original negotiation. Anyway, what can you offer that would help Arizona in water negotiations?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I'm primarily healthcare and then education, but from my understanding of what's happening with the water appropriations is that us being in Arizona and part of the lower basins, we are getting put back on the back burners. And we really need to, considering the fact that the Colorado River supplies more than 75% of the usage of it, we really need to advocate and ensure that California is not taking advantage of us, Mexico is not taking advantage of us, and just making sure we stand strong and fight for Arizona water.
So by that same token, the upper basin states have plenty, they're said to be 92%, capacity. Whereas Lake Mead is at 25% right now.
Right.
Lake Powell's at 33, I believe.
Yes.
There's got to be a way to even that out. I would think the Bureau of Reclamation has a big part in that.
Oh, absolutely. I think they just, and I was actually reading it on the way down, that they have these strategies and ideas, but we really need to negotiate with Utah, Nevada, California, and ensure that Arizona, that once again, that we're not getting put on a lower back burner.
I got you. Are Arizona's immigration laws strong enough? And do you feel that law enforcement officers in Arizona and its 15 counties, do you feel they have what they need to fight illegal immigration?
No, absolutely not. We've got Governor Hobbs and we've got Arizona Attorney General Mays. So that alone is our biggest obstacle. And then we have, Senator Mark Kelly. So no, I would say absolutely no, we do not. We don't have the leadership. We don't have the support. And even if the laws are in place, we don't have an attorney general who's going to enforce them. So they all need to go.
Well, you've got Ruben Gallego also.
Oh, yeah. And of course.
I think Adelita Grijalva may be the person who's the biggest danger to, what do you call it? Legal immigration.
Yes.
I don't know. I just have a really bad feeling about certain politicians and
Absolutely.
their taking their side on the left. That's just my opinion. Okay, affordability. You've heard that word, especially in this campaign season, right?
Yes.
It's the current political buzzword of the campaign. What does affordable mean to you?
Well, so I'm not going to give my exact age. You can find it. It's all, I'm sure, public information.
I'm good.
I'm under 40, but we all know that the average home buyer now, thank God, I was fortunate and lucky enough to get my home in my late 20s. But affordability, it's meaning that can the first-time entry home buyer afford a home? And the answer in Arizona, it used to be 5 years ago, I would say yes. Now I would say absolutely not. And so affordability would just mean that a family, a standard nuclear family of hypothetically 3 or 4 could afford a home and afford to stay and live there. But I would say no, Arizona is not in that state.
How do you feel about state lands, at state parks and state lands? We have an issue here locally with state parks, but state lands, there seems to have been a lot of auctions, a lot of land sales, especially the past 4 years under Governor Hobbs.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I think that from the federal government, when I was on the Public Lands and Recreation Committee, I think that the feds are still holding on to a lot of land, and I think that they should actually release more, specifically to Arizona. I can't talk about other states. I don't know much about what they have. I would imagine Nevada has a lot, but specifically for Arizona, I think the feds need BLM, and they need to release more land so that more people can build and buy and live.
What about those lands that are on, say, where Biden made national monument designations, say, up in the northern parts of Mohave County, where there are vast deposits of uranium,
yes.
right? And those, like Congressman Gosar was saying, that could be revenue for
right.
the county, selling that uranium where it's needed in the energy industries. How do you feel? Is that something we can unlock or not?
And I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm well versed in that, but I think that I would reach out to Congressman Gosar and I would have to ask what's the status and what's going on. Are they owned by public? Are they federal lands? And kind of go from there.
So I want to talk about housing.
Yes.
With short-term rentals and that, how can the state improve housing inventory to help drive costs down? Should developers be given special tax exemptions? What legislation would you support if you were elected?
Well, I think first and foremost, we need to prevent all these foreign massive conglomerate corporations from purchasing all these houses and then essentially pushing out individual home buyers. So that's the first thing that needs to happen. I support what President Trump says, and he's saying, hey, we need to stop all these corporations, just like Big Pharma. Mm-hmm. Same principle. We need to lower the prescription drug costs and essentially all these major conglomerates from buying us out.
I like to say that I'm not Republican enough. Because I'll talk to a Republican. I'm about 80% where they're at. I'm not complete MAGA, but a little bit of a social conservative. Where do you put yourself on that? If you want to say, this is an optional question. Are you a MAGA conservative?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'd say I'm a Maha conservative.
Oh,
yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, I'm a Maha conservative.
Make America healthy again.
Yes,
mm-hmm.
yeah. And as far as, being labeled as the Republican, I guess I would ask, how do you define a MAGA Republican? But I'm all for President Trump, and I think that, I would say 90% of his issues, there's very few things that I disagree with him. Yeah, so I would say, yeah, I'm a MAGA Republican.
Okay, I'm going to go into public health now. Okay. You're going to love this. How much power should the director of the state's Department of Public Health have during a public health emergency?
Oh, see, I think that should be controlled by locals. I don't think they should have any power. I think it's up to each of the 15 counties and keep it at a local level.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I would just say keep Big Brother out of it.
All right. A closing statement. Would you like to give a closing statement of who Caroline Strecker is, what she stands for, and why she's running for Legislative District 30 representative? Yeah,
I was kind of thinking about this. This is the first time I'll share this. I'll take advantage of the opportunity. But the same thing, why would I tell voters why should they vote for me? They're not after me. They're after you. I'm stealing it from President Trump. But really, I have a wide vast of knowledge and experience, and I'm the baby on the slate. I'm the youngest one, but I have a vast amount of extensive knowledge between healthcare, education, being a mom, and I've actually been reached out by the Department of Health and Human Services, so the White House has reached out to me, and so I think these qualifications put me in a unique spot, and that I could help LD30 in those.
Tell me about your family.
Well, so my dad was a doctor here in the local tri-state area for over 30 years. Yeah, so he helped serve Parker. I know Blythe is part of California, but he helped at Needles and worked in Fort Mohave and Parker for over 30 years. My mom's a nurse. She's working here and up in Vegas, and so I'm the byproduct of both.
Does the schedule of going down to Phoenix, coming back, going down, coming back, does that present any problems whatsoever?
No, I mean, like I said, I do have family and friends in Phoenix, and they're very hopeful and excited for me going down there. Do I necessarily want to be in Phoenix all the time? No, I want to stay in Mohave.
All right, perfect. Well, you did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And what city do you live in now?
Fort Mohave.
Fort Mohave. For some reason, I thought you lived in Golden Valley.
No.
I don't know why.
Nope.
So, okay, Fort Mohave. Perfect. So that's home of Valley View Medical Center?
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
So Caroline Strecker, our guest, she's a candidate for Legislative District 30 State Rep. And good luck in the coming election.
Thank you for having me.